When people think motorcycles, they think adrenaline, chrome, speed, and a little bit of rebellion. Maybe some burnt rubber for a little bit of good measure. But here's the twist. Not everybody's chasing the flash. Some riders just want reliability on the road so they never stop driving. But are there motorcycles that never break? Well, some certainly have that reputation. Let's take a look. Introduced in 2012, the Yamaha V-Star 250 has never been the kind of bike to scream for attention. And maybe that's the point, because while the sports bike crowd chases down the next 1000cc thrill ride, the V-Star quietly racks up miles like a metronome on wheels. You wouldn't know it at a glance, but the V-Star houses the smallest V-twin engine in production. A modest 249cc air-cooled setup that isn't trying to break any land speed records, but reliability, that's where it shines. It's the kind of bike you can ride daily, leave in the garage for a month and fire up without so much as a protest. It doesn't rely on flashy tech or high-strung tuning. Instead, its entire pitch is built around old-school cruiser vibes. You know, relaxed ergonomics, low seat height, a 26mm Mikuni carburetor, yes, I said carb, not EFI, and a frame that feels as solid as anything in the entry-level class. What's really telling is this: V-Star owners rarely sell them. They hold on to them, pass them down, or keep them around as backup even after upgrading. When that many people treat a motorcycle like a family heirloom, you know it's built right. Once upon a time, Triumph motorcycles were the gold standard, the old-school kind. Leaking oil, kicking back, and giving riders just enough trouble to feel like they'd earned the ride. But the modern Triumph is not your granddad's leaky garage queen anymore. That brings us to the Street Twin 900, a product of Triumph's second wind in the 21st century. Released back in 2016, this bike represents everything the brand has been working toward: a fusion of retro charm and rock-solid engineering. Its 900cc liquid-cooled parallel twin engine isn't the most powerful on the market, but that's not what it's about. What matters here is balance. 64 horsepower, a healthy torque curve that kicks in low, and a ride feel that's equal parts cafe, racer, and commuter. This is a bike you can ride across town or across the country, and it won't flinch. And when we talk about reliability, let's be clear. It's not only about avoiding breakdowns, it's also about being predictable. Smooth fueling, strong build quality, a chassis that feels planted, and Triumph nailed it all. If the V-Star is the quiet achiever, the Street Twin is the reformed bad boy who got his act together and somehow got better with age. The Yamaha XS650 it's a marvelous beast. First launched in 1969, this bike ran through 1983, and 4 decades later, it's still alive and kicking in garages around the world. And you know what made it so special? Simplicity. The 650 was never about overcomplicating things. It had a 654cc air-cooled parallel twin with 2 Mikuni carbs and a no-nonsense layout. It didn't need electronic trickery to get the job done. What it did need, though, sturdy frame, honest torque, and an easy-to-wrench-on design, it delivered in spades. And here's the kicker. Even with all the innovation the motorcycle world has seen since the 80s, people are still building, riding, and restoring 650s. Look, that ain't nostalgia. That's legacy. There's something poetic about a machine that can outlive trends and still feel relevant. The 650 doesn't care about TFT screens or rider modes. It cares about showing up every time you hit the starter, decade after decade. You know how comic books have that one character who's been around forever? That's the Royal Enfield Bullet 350. This isn't just an old bike, this is a relic of the past by motorcycle standards. First released in 1932 and somehow still rolling off assembly lines today. And while that might sound like a recipe for mechanical mediocrity, the truth is actually the opposite. The Bullet 350 is a mechanical equivalent of a blacksmith's hammer, heavy, dependable, and built to last a lifetime. Modern versions are still powered by a 349cc air oil-cooled single-cylinder engine, and they feel like a time capsule. No over-engineering, no distractions. Just a thumping, rhythmic ride that connects you with the road in a way that most bikes have long since forgotten. Here's the thing. Owning a Bullet isn't about spec sheets. It's about soul. It's about simplicity. And for riders who want a bike that'll survive the apocalypse and maybe even outlive it, the Bullet 350 makes a pretty strong case. Plus, it helps that maintenance is laughably easy. With fewer parts than your average toaster and a repair network that stretches across continents, this is the kind of motorcycle you fix with a wrench, a smile, and maybe a strong cup of coffee. And then we get to Harley. Everybody knows Harley, the brand known for big engines, big attitudes, and even bigger repair bills. But here's the thing. Not all Harleys were created equal, and the Evo Sportster lineup proves that just fine. From the late 80s through the early 2000s, Harley produced the Evolution engine in both 883cc and 1200cc flavors. These bikes weren't the loudest or the fastest, but they were tough. Real tough. In a world where some Harley engines become synonymous with overheating and oil leaks, the Evo stood apart. It was clean, simple, and didn't ask for much beyond regular oil changes and an occasional tune-up. You didn't have to be a master mechanic to own one, just somebody who cared enough to keep it running right. And that's the magic of the Evo Sportster. It democratized the Harley experience. It gave riders a way to enjoy the badge without sacrificing their weekends to constant maintenance. More importantly, it gave Harley something to be proud of, a platform that's still beloved, still collected, and still running. For a lot of riders, it was their entry into the Harley world, and for a good chunk of them, it's the one they never let go. So those are our 5 picks. In an era where motorcycles are increasingly becoming rolling computers with tires, the bikes on this list offer something rare: peace of mind. They may not be the fastest. They may not win awards for cutting-edge innovation. But what they offer is something a lot more valuable: longevity. And that's why they matter. And that's why so many of us can still connect to them. They represent a different kind of engineering philosophy, one that valued consistency over complexity, one that rewards long-term riders over weekend warriors, one that believes the true worth of a motorcycle isn't just what it does in its first 5,000 miles, but how well it's still running at 50,000. So what's your pick? Or maybe you think there's a bike that didn't make our list. Make sure you let us know in the comments down below, and maybe we can feature it in some of our future content. Also, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.